Okay, well, I'll pass over straight to the BSI guys in just a second, but let me first introduce the guys here. So we have Ryan Brothers, who is the VP of Engineering and Development at BSI, and I think Michael Ebarb as well is the president of the company. Now, BSI have been long-term partners of IOTech and have adopted the EdgeX technology within their product offerings for the building automation domain, of course. And we thought it would be really interesting to have BSI present their use of EdgeX to us here, so we, the TSC, can be better aware of what our users need, what they're looking for, particularly ahead of the planning sessions that we have planned in the next few weeks. So it's good timing too, I think. So Ryan, shall I hand over to you, or are you gonna, you have some slides that you could present?
Yeah, Michael Ebarb couldn't join us this morning. We have Kenny Farmer, the VP of operations. He'll be presenting the slides.
Okay, no problem. Let me stop sharing for a second. You go ahead.
Yep. Can y'all see the slide?
Great, very good.
Yes, perfect. So, like we said, we are BSI, Building Systems Integrators. My name is Kenny Farmer, Vice President of Operations. Ryan is Vice President of Engineering Development. We started and kind of plugging away ever since. So we started. So in the early days, we used the Tritium Niagara framework for building automation. So common, that was I guess the back end. On the unitary side, we had multitude of controllers that we'd use. The main ones were Distech Controls, JCI Facility Explorer, and Honeywell. What we found trying to be innovative with Niagara is, as we had ideas, we would hit barriers trying to build inside of their framework and trying to do stuff that traditionally hadn't been done in building automation. So that's kind of what forced us into looking for an alternative back-end platform that we could innovate on and do more when it came to IoT and connecting edge devices. Ryan, I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah. So developing inside of the Niagara framework is kind of a nightmare. It's a monolith of Java code that is, some of it's 20 years old, some of it's 2 years old. You know, it's kind of a mess. It is good at what it does. I will say that, integration of devices, but they try to do too much inside of their framework. So when we were searching for other avenues, open source was kind of the way we were leaning towards trying to find, and we stumbled across EdgeX Foundry, which led into IOTech, and yeah, it's been a great experience working with IOTech and with EdgeX Foundry since then.
All right, so moving on to the next one. Right on, if you want to talk on this one, on what you enjoy about it.
Yep, good segue into what we liked about it, or what we still like about it. Open source, we love that. We love that we can throw that around and really use that to our advantage. Niagara, as much as they want to preach open platform, it's really not. You still have to go through the classes, and if you want to dive into the framework, you actually have to go through a development class and stuff like that. Cloud native, we had been familiar with Docker, Docker Compose, Kubernetes, and all that stuff before we even found EdgeX Foundry, and that was kind of what we were looking for in the beginning. So it was really a perfect fit for our needs and what we were really looking for at the edge. Something lightweight, something that can run on our Intel NUCs. That is what we deploy on. That is our standard server that we use to connect devices, unless we have over 250 devices. At that point, we put in like a 1U little server. modular. That kind of goes in with cloud native. What we can do is we can add any container we want with any programming language. That is another really good thing about EdgeX Foundry, is we don't really necessarily need Java specialists or Python specialists or anything like that. We can see who fits. We can see what they've done and say what programming language do you like to use, and we can just plug and play. Standardization, and that is a big thing about these meetings. Designing payloads and stuff like that is always a challenge, and we use the EdgeX model of payloads, and it works very well. Data acquisition. So with the cloud connectivity, we can store more data than really any other platform out there. We can scale up to really any amount of data that we can collect. With the other platforms that we used, data acquisition and especially visualization were kind of not the best. Setting up the historical trends on some of these platforms is kind of a chore, and most people don't even use them because the charting technology is about 10 years old. So yeah, we can move on to the next slide. All right. So how we use EdgeX in our smart buildings and our building technologies is we use Node-RED at the edge to develop energy management algorithms, such as set point resets, standby occupancy, economizing, anything that we can do to really achieve net zero is what we're trying to accomplish here. And Node-RED and EdgeX Foundry, once that's stood up and the flows are working, it does a really good job of that. Edge to cloud connectivity. A lot of building automation systems are moving or are attempting to move to the cloud. Train has their own cloud service now. Tritium is releasing theirs. Yeah, I know Johnson is too. The issue with that is that you're locked in. It's a proprietary cloud. You cannot move. You don't really have any control over it. So the good thing about EdgeX is it's cloud agnostic. You can host it in AWS, Google Cloud, wherever you're familiar. You can stand your database up and Grafana or however you want to display the data. And that goes into cloud visualization across multi-site portfolio. So we have a few customers that have multiple sites across the nation that we control and visualize for them. And we actually have a service management agreement with them where we kind of analyze the data for them, because they have a few engineers, but you can't be in Atlanta one day and then 4 hours later be in Dallas, so we can get on top of that and say, and from Fort Worth, I can say, hey, there's an issue with this unit in Atlanta. We need to send somebody out there. Disaster-proof data storage. So with everything being pushed to the cloud, you don't necessarily need a lot of storage at the edge, because if that Intel NUC, if somebody knocks it off the desk or what have you, it's gone forever. So with cloud storage, we have multiple buckets. We have weekly backups. We can restore to a point of time where everything is a-okay. Interface enhancement. So we have some pictures on the left of what those actually look like, and at the end of the slides, we can kind of go through an actual site that we have. So we are able to, with HTTPS and MQTT, we are able to visualize HVAC equipment, lighting. You see a schedule there to schedule equipment. We are able to bring building automation into the 21st century. I'm sure some of you guys have seen some front ends before for building automation, and it's kind of drab. It's kind of 1990s-esque, and a lot of people don't mind that. It doesn't get it done, but a lot of people coming up now, they're used to snappy apps, you know, Twitter, Facebook, and all that stuff. They're used to mobile friendly and hitting things with their phone. That's just what they're used to. So with EdgeX, we are able to build our front end to be just that, snappy, kind of app-like. So people spend more time in the building automation. They don't just go to it when they have a problem. They can go to it and analyze data, and that's really the user experience that we are able to provide is much better than building inside of another platform. So we can go on to the next one, and this is kind of the wish list, the pipe dreams, and you know, so access control integration and CCTV. I know that there are connectors for cameras and stuff like that, but not but for the access control side, where you can add users and all that stuff, that would be awesome to see. The Niagara Fox protocol. So there are, I think this year they surpassed 1 million JACEs in the world. That may have been last year, but yeah, there are a lot of JACEs out there, and they speak to each other across what is known as the Fox protocol. And that connector would be awesome to see, just to be able to integrate these JACEs, put EdgeX Foundry on an existing Tritium system, because sometimes we run into, hey, we have 40 JACEs. We don't want to switch. We've already spent all this money, but with the Fox protocol, we can put a server on there, integrate the JACEs, and have much better UI, UX, and data acquisition. Built-in scheduling. So we as BSI have actually developed a scheduling service to schedule equipment, and that's really the main way that you're gonna save energy, right? Just turn it off. Just, if nobody's there, it's unoccupied, just turn it off. Some people don't actually want that. They want what they call night setback, where they just maybe the set point 72 during the day, and overnight it can go up to 76, 78, depending on whether it's in the winter time or the summertime. OEM programming tool, that is more for the controller side of things at the edge. So if you have a lighting controller and HVAC controller, it would be really cool to be able to launch that from Expert Manager or what have you, or just the base EdgeX Foundry. That's more of a, you know, we can get around that. That's more of just a quality of life thing for us. Virtual data transformation. So what we mean by that is, and I'll give an example, is let's say you have a return temperature and a supply temperature. It would be really awesome to be able to have a function that, you know, subtracts those and pushes to the database a virtual point, you could say, of the difference of those two, or what have you. So you subtract the return from the supply temperature, and that could be a virtual point that pushes to whatever database, influx, timescale. That would be really awesome to have that. We do that in our visualizations anyways with our queries, but it would be really cool to have that point pushed as its own point. Hopefully that makes sense. BAS, EMS specific AI and data models. So we are actually working on this, and hopefully we can share some of that with the community once we are done. This is kind of the buzzword of building automation right now, is machine learning, and how can we use machine learning to really control these buildings to a point where they are as energy efficient as they can be from the energy management standpoint. Now, as far as, there's always going to be insulation, where the building is, how it's facing, how, the windows and all that stuff. But with AI and machine learning, we're hoping that we can push building automation into, like we said, the net zero, and really get these buildings to where under control, to where they're not so energy inefficient. So Kenny, do you want to go over just a quick live site that we have?
Yeah, if everybody's up for that, I can present that. Bear with me.
Yeah, we'll make it quick, just so we can show you the platform, and so you can get a better idea of what it actually looks like without looking at slides and stuff. Live demos are a little bit better. Okay,
everybody
so
see
this
that?
is, yep,
Okay,
we can see it.
perfect.
All right, so this is one of our sites that we have in Dallas. This is not a multi-site. This is only one building, but this is the dashboard that they see when they log in. So you can kind of get a quick glance of really what's going on. The chill water supply temp and return. You can see the nice, I don't even know what to call that, spectrogram, I guess. The return temp, supply temp. You can really get a really quick overview of how the building is, what the building is doing, and it's pretty efficient. Let's go to floor plan. There we go. All right, so these are the floor plans that we have in our platform. So this kind of denotes where these units actually are, and the temperatures that are associated with them. You can see one reading 888. That is hot. But yeah, that's obviously an issue with the sensor there. But so we put floor plans on every site, so people can get a quick glance of where these units actually are, when they're really troubleshooting and trying to figure out what's going on with these units, where the problems are. So let's go into one of those guys. Okay, so this is the older style of equipment graphics. So you can see the chart up there. That's when it went unoccupied. That's when I was explaining night setback. That's kind of what that is it goes to 78 and the heating set point goes down to 66. So you can get a quick glance of really what's going on with the unit. In the slides, we showed an updated equipment view. We found that this specific view is kind of it's just not as intuitive. It's kind of clunky. You have to kind of click on the tabs and go around, and it's not all in one place. So our equipment views have done better. So you can override, as he's showing there. So you can schedule an override whenever you want, but you can override that value to whatever you want to, whenever you want, just to give the operator a momentary set action. So if you wanted that set point to be overridden to 77 for 2 hours, the platform allows you to do that. So yeah, let's go there. So there's the equipment graphic. We were really kicking around the idea of getting away from equipment graphics. That's why we put it in a pop-up. The feedback that we've gotten from some of our customers, they're like, no, we want to see shiny ductwork, and we need to see how the equipment actually looks. I mean, we were trying to get away from that, but sadly we're back. So up in the top right, these tabs over here. So these are the overrides. Like I was explaining before, it kind of gives you an overview of what the overrides are. You can add notes to this specific unit. So if you wanted to add a note saying checked fan belt was loose or something like that, you can add the notes there, so everyone knows what happened at a specific time of day and what actions were taken to remedy the alarm or what have you. And then we have the sequence of operation, just for, just to kind of explain, as newer engineers come in, they have questions, and yeah, so they can just read this and get a view. So let's go to the chill water system. Yeah, let's go there and just show you what these chiller plants actually look like. So yeah, there's a piping diagram to show you kind of, this one's kind of interesting. These guys actually make ice to run their building during the day. So they make ice at night, and during the day, they don't have to run their chillers. So yeah, you can see the overrides there. People have been overriding some stuff, and some are still overridden to this day. Some are completed. But yeah, this is kind of the live demo here. And
pretty cool.
And so
really good.
So we've developed some dashboards, like we said. This one's the chiller plant specifically. So as this stuff loads in, and yeah, you can see a little bit more data here than on the base dashboard. We really wanted it to be just a quick overview. So you can go to the analytics page. Obviously, this is Grafana. Love it. We use it for not only our dashboards, but for our alerting as well. So, and for example, if this chill water temperature didn't meet set point, we alert on that. They get the email, and so they can come in here and check it out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a pretty this site in particular, we had some struggles. So on this site, we actually installed all the controllers. We developed the HVAC programming inside of the controllers that actually control the equipment. So yeah, we did it cradle to the grave, from the device to the cloud. They have this UI and that they use, and they yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's so good to see. It's really good, guys. Really good, really nice looking interfaces. People have already commented. So I guess it's obvious that those devices are, they're using the EdgeX device services. Is that right? That's Modbus and BACnet and all that sort of stuff.
Yep. We are using
going through the core layers, obviously, and app services and all the rest of it.
Yep. Yes, sir. With the this site is BACnet, all BACnet, and we're using the app service for timescale. Actually, we used to use Influx. We saw that timescale was an option for an app service, and we're like, let's and that's a great thing about us as being kind of a smaller team, is it doesn't take an act of God to turn the ship. If we want to change our database from Influx to timescale, well, we just do it. And it's actually been a lot better for us. Timescale is actually really, really cool. And we were already familiar with SQL, and we had some guys like, I don't want to learn Flux language and stuff like that. It's like, okay, we'll search out some other avenues, and we found timescale. But yep, we're using core command, HTTPS, down to actuate the devices. Here's one that's actually running, so you can see the nice little spinning fans and the cooling coil light up. People like that. But yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all built on EdgeX Foundry. And like I said, we try to stay true to open source, Grafana, timescale, and those tools allow us to really provide something that not a lot of other building automation systems can do, really. And to answer the question about the red on that dashboard, that's just saying that it was off. That doesn't necessarily mean it was in alarm or anything like that. That was just an red light, green light kind of situation there. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's just kind of denoting that, hey, this thing is off, or it was off historically. Yeah. So it was off.
So question on your use of the app services. Did you create a custom app service? Is that exporting the data to your timescale? Is that database?
Yep. No, that was actually, I think that was an IOTech. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe you can speak to this. It was pushed out by them. I guess they had a use case for it. One of their customers probably came to them and said, "Hey, we're using timescale. Can we get an app service for that?" So we didn't write it. We use it, and it works great. Yeah. It works great.
Yeah, there's a few things here, I guess. So there's a lot obviously, as you said, EdgeX is fundamental to all of this here, but at IOTech, we do add some value add here. So some of these services, like Grafana and Node-RED was mentioned as well. They're features we add in EdgeX.
So you also added a custom app service that will export in timescale format, kind of similar to the example we have for InfluxDB.
Correct.
Yep.
Cool.
Exactly.
Love it.
So what kind of scalability for EdgeX? Is this a single EdgeX instance for the whole building, or is there one per floor, or?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, we use Intel NUX to deploy our EdgeX instances, and we found that most single buildings can be handled by a single instance. It really scales very well. When it comes to, we haven't integrated a building that really needed more than one. As we've been going through the motions here, kind of R&Ding and really getting into it, is with one instance of EdgeX Foundry or Edge Expert, we can just scale up the equipment rather than putting in more. And people kind of like that, because there's not a bunch of Intel NUCs out there. Like, where are they? Kind of issue there. It's in the IT closet. It's on a server. Now that does bring up that the failover in a single point of failure. Yeah, that does still exist, and we're thinking about that. But the scalability is great. There's usually in a building there are maybe 50 to 100 devices that really get integrated, and Edge Expert and EdgeX Foundry handle that very, very well. Oh, and here's the project documentation. So we include documentation for everything that we've installed and the submittals, so they can quickly at a glance get to them. So yep. So those are some of the controllers with the IO that we use.
Thanks.
Yeah, guys, this is really great. Thanks so much for the really valuable feedback, and it's so cool to see EdgeX technology that we're all working on, being used in real world scenarios. So it's really, really good, really interesting to hear your feedback. We'll take those things forward as we do the planning meetings in the next few weeks. We probably need to move on to other subjects, but let's open the floor to more questions for the BSI guys.
Wasn't sure what time we had left, James, but I put a couple of questions in there in the chat, Ryan and Kenny, but one on the access control wish you had, and the other was on the scheduling wish. What are you looking for? Some sort of UI to add users and access to the Kong APIs?
So with our user service, where we actually use Auth0 to manage users. We did use with V1, we used Kong, and we kind of wrote our own kind of middleware to add users and really keep track of the tokens and stuff like that. So we kind of moved away from that architecture. It's a little bit easier for us, and Auth0 is really nice because it gives you user analytics, you know, how when they last logged on and all that stuff. And it comes with password reset. That is a big thing. People forget their passwords all the time. And with our own user management that we were doing, we didn't have that feature of, you know, the little forget your password question at the bottom. That we didn't really have that. So they would have to reach out to us and like, oh, I forgot my password. And like, okay, well, it's changed to this. Make sure to change it. And they usually didn't. So we actually use a third party for user management. Yeah. And the schedule service. So it is enough. It really does work very well. I just know that it's imperative to the building automation realm to be able to schedule, and it would be something that would be nice to see inherent in EdgeX, just for other people to really deploy Edge Expert or EdgeX Foundry and have that ability straight off the bat and not have to develop their own. The one we use takes a little bit of setup. We're attempting to reach out to core metadata, see what's actually in EdgeX, and populate the scheduled database, you know, automatically. It's in the works right now, but right now we have to add every device to our scheduling service one by one. So if you have 100 devices, you're going to be there a while. And that's what I mean. It's just an inherent scheduling service. Like I said, we use ours. It works great. We could release it to the greater community, but it would definitely take like a how-to guide or like a video of how to actually set it up. We know how to set it up because we wrote it, but it's a little bit confusing from the outside in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Ryan. And any more last questions for the guys? I'm sorry to have to move it on, really, because it's such an interesting subject. And thanks again, guys. Really appreciate taking the time to present to us today.
Really good stuff, guys. Really interesting.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. We love it. We love being a part of the community. So yeah, definitely keep up the great work on your guys' end as well. It's made it a joy to develop the platform and really hopefully propel building automation in a better direction.
Excellent. Okay, thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.